Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are tackling a massive challenge that sits right at the intersection of education, logistics, and data. But before we get to the tech, I want you to just imagine a specific scenario.
Yeah.
Imagine you're a student. You're maybe, 13 or 14 years old. Middle school.
Which is already a difficult time for just about anyone.
Exactly. I mean, the awkward phases, new social dynamics, all of it. Now imagine you have to change schools. That's stressful enough, right? New friends, new teachers, figuring out where the cafeteria is, memorizing a new locker combination.
Yeah. Why?
Now take that stress and just multiply it. Imagine you have to change schools 2, 3, maybe even 4 times in a single school year.
And you aren't just moving across town, I'm guessing. You're crossing state lines.
Right. You're moving from, say, Texas to Michigan, then maybe down to Florida, and then back up to Ohio. And usually you're moving with little to no warning because your parents are following the harvest or the fishing seasons.
It is a chaotic reality for thousands of children in the United States. We call them migratory children in the documentation. But I think that term sometimes, it sanitizes the disruption.
It does.
This is a life of constant motion.
And the central challenge we're really looking at today is, how on earth does the U.S. education system keep track of these students? How do you ensure that a kid who learns algebra in Texas doesn't have to retake it in Michigan just because the paperwork didn't show up?
Or that they don't get placed in a remedial reading class when they're actually an honors student simply because the new school has zero data on them.
Exactly. It is the ultimate continuity problem. And for a long time, the answer was?
Well, the answer was paper. It was slow. It was fragmented. It was parents carrying crumpled report cards in glove compartments.
But today, we are diving into the digital solution. We are unpacking something called MSIX,
which stands for the Migrant Student Information Exchange,
and the broader context of the Migrant Education Program, or MEP. We have a stack of documents here, technical manuals, user guides, cybersecurity protocols that describe a really fascinating national infrastructure.
It is.
Our mission today is to unpack how the system actually works.
And it's not just about tracking. The goal, as is defined in our source material, is very specific. It's about ensuring these children reach academic standards, graduate with a high school diploma or a high school equivalency, and are prepared for responsible citizenship, learning, and employment.
It's a huge goal, and to get there, they've built a beast of a system. We're going to talk about a 76-point data set, secure login protocols that would make a bank jealous, and real-time move notices that feel a bit like air traffic control for students.
It really is a tech story as much as it is an education story.
So let's get into it. Let's unpack MSIX.
What do?
Start us off with the foundation. What exactly is MSIX? Because when I read information exchange, I imagine a giant cloud where everyone just, dumps files. But looking at the architecture diagrams here, it's much more structured than that, isn't it?
Oh, much more structured. You have to think of MSIX as a system of systems.
A system of systems.
Yeah. Remember, education in the U.S. is largely a state issue. So Texas has its own database. California has its own. Florida has its own. A common example that's mentioned in the documents is MIS 2000. That's a state-level system used by quite a few states.
Okay, so you have 50 silos, 50 different walled gardens of data.
Exactly. And historically, those systems did not talk to each other. If you were in the Texas system, you were basically invisible to the Michigan system. MSIX is the web-based application that links them all together.
So it's the bridge.
It's the bridge, but it also synthesizes the view. It takes the data entered into those state systems like MIS 2000 and securely transfers it up to a national level. And it produces what they call a Consolidated Student Record.
Okay, a Consolidated Student Record.
This is crucial. It's a single view that aggregates data from different states to give you a complete picture of that child's educational journey.
So if I'm a counselor in Oregon, I'm not just seeing what the student did in Oregon. I'm seeing the credits from Washington, the health data from Arizona, all in one place.
Precisely. It turns a fragmented puzzle into a complete picture. And the sources highlight 3 sort of pillars of utility for this system. This is the why behind all the tech.
Okay.
The first is notification.
Which is just knowing the kid is there or on their way?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Alerting users of student movement so they can get enrolled quickly. I mean, every day a child sits out of school because of paperwork is a day of learning lost.
Right.
MSIX cuts that time down. If a system knows a child is moved, it can trigger alerts to get them into a classroom immediately.
And the second pillar?
Placement. This is huge. Using course and exam data to put students in the right grade. You alluded to this in the intro, avoiding repetition or gaps.
Yeah, the algebra's algebra problem.
That's it. If a student finishes half a semester of biology in one state, the new school needs to know that immediately, so they don't put them in a remedial science class or make them start over.
Which has to be incredibly frustrating for the student.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you don't know they took algebra, you put them in pre-algebra. They get bored, they disengage, they might even drop out. Proper placement is about retention.
And the third pillar is credit accrual.
This is the long game. Tracking progress toward graduation as the student moves. MSIX maintains the record of their enrollments and course history across all those state lines so that when they reach their senior year, all those scattered credits can be pulled together for a diploma.
That feels like the most tangible benefit. You could do all the work, but if the record doesn't follow you,
You get nothing.
you don't get the degree.
Exactly. Imagine doing the work for a job and never getting the paycheck because the bank lost your routing number. That's what it's like for these kids without a system like MSIX.
And there is a bureaucratic but very important fourth function mentioned in the documents, funding.
Always follow the money.
MSIX produces the official child counts, and these counts are used for Title I Part C grant funding distribution. So accurate data in MSIX literally determines the resources states get to help these kids.
That's right. If the data is wrong, the funding is wrong. If the funding is wrong, the support services aren't there. It is the official ledger for the whole program.
But here's the thing about linking systems.
Yeah.
I know from working in tech that it is incredibly difficult. It's not just storage, it's translation.
It is.
You have 50 states with different standards, different course codes, different ways of grading. How does MSIX handle that?
It has to ingest all that and make it readable to everyone else. It's like being a universal translator of the United Nations, but for high school transcripts.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the gatekeepers, because if you have all this sensitive data grades, health info, where a family lives, you can't just have password 123 as the security.
Definitely not. And the source material makes a really big point about the integration of Login.gov.
I feel like I'm seeing Login.gov everywhere these days. It's becoming the standard for federal stuff.
It is. And for MSIX, it's the new entry point. It's a secure, centralized authentication system. The key here is that it uses verified credentials and multi-factor authentication, or MFA.
MFA is the thing where it texts you a code, right? Or you use an app.
Or you use an authenticator app, yeah.
Yeah.
It adds that second layer of defense. What's interesting about the MSIX implementation is that they're leveraging the Department of Education's Identity, Credential, and Access Management System, ICAM.
ICAM. That sounds intense.
It's rigorous. It means there is a vetted identity process. You can't just sign up anonymously. You have to prove you are who you say you are.
Oh, that makes sense.
It has to be this way. This is a federal database containing information on minors. The gate has to be heavy.
But from a user experience side, the documents pitch this as a benefit.
And it is a benefit. It reduces the need for multiple accounts. If you work in government or education, you might already have Login.gov account for another agency.
Okay.
You could use that same account for MSIX.
One password to rule them all.
In a way. It means you don't have to reset passwords constantly or set those annoying challenge questions like, what was the name of your first pet? For every single system you use.
There is a catch, though, isn't there?
Yeah.
I saw something in the notes about email addresses that seemed like a potential headache for IT departments.
Yes. This is a crucial detail for anyone actually using the system. You must use the same email for MSIX as your Login.gov account.
Ah.
So if your MSIX account is under your work email say jane.doe@school.edu your Login.gov account has to match that.
So if I have a personal Login.gov account linked to my Gmail that I use for, like, global entry, I can't use that for MSIX.
Correct. You would need to create a new Login.gov account linked to your work email, or add your work email to your existing account. If they don't match, the door doesn't open.
That seems like a small detail that could cause a lot of help desk tickets.
Oh, absolutely. And there's one more nuance. If you have an old Login.gov account that didn't require verification methods back when you set it up.
Like from years ago.
Right. You can't just slide into MSIX with that. You will have to go through the process of setting up those verification methods to access MSIX. The system forces you to upgrade your security.
It's non-negotiable.
It has to be. We are dealing with PII, personally identifiable information. The vetted process is the layer of trust that allows states to feel comfortable sharing this data.
So state A needs to know that the person logging in from state B is who they say they are.
Exactly. Without that trust, the whole exchange falls apart.
Okay, so we've got the system MSIX. We've got the key-login.gov. Now let's look at the actual data. You mentioned earlier that MSIX acts as a translator. How does it do that? Because English 101 in New York might be Intro to Lit in California.
This is where we get into the DNA of the system. The documents refer to them as the MDEs.
The MDEs.
The minimum data elements.
Minimum data elements. It sounds like the bare minimum, but looking at the documentation, it's actually quite a lot, isn't it?
It is. The current iteration is MDE version 13, and it consists of 76 specific elements that states must collect and report.
76. That's a lot of fields to fill out.
76. And this isn't optional. The legal basis is Title I, Part C of the Every Student Succeeds Act, or SS.
ESSA.
So states are required to play ball here. If you want the grant money, you provide the data elements.
So what are we tracking? What are these 76 things?
They fall into a few broad categories. First, you have student demographics. The basics: name, birth date, sex, race, and ethnicity.
Standard stuff you'd see on any school form.
Right. Then you have qualifying arrival and eligibility information. This is what determines if the child actually qualifies for the Migrant Education Program in the first place.
Right, because not every student who moves is a migratory child under the law.
Correct. The definition is very specific regarding agricultural or fishing work. So MSIX tracks the qualifying arrival date, when did they get there, and the eligibility expiration date, which is crucial because it says when their time in the program runs out.
Okay, what's next?
Then you have enrollment and residency. Where are they now? Where do they live? This includes the school name, the district, and the specific facility.
And the big one, academic records.
This is the heart of it. Assessments, course history, and credit accrual. This is the transcript data.
And finally, outcomes.
Did they graduate? Did they get a high school equivalency, an HSE? This is the ultimate metric of success for the program.
It really covers the whole life cycle of the student in the program.
It does. And to go back to your translator point, the expert insight here is why standardized definitions matter so much.
Right.
The MDEs include standardized definitions and what they call allowable values.
Give me an example of how that works in practice.
Okay, take Algebra 1. MSIX has a specific indicator for Algebra 1 or equivalent. It forces the state system to map their specific course, whatever they call it, to that universal MSIX definition. So when the record moves to the next state, the counselor there sees Algebra 1 completed. They don't have to guess if Math 1A from another state counts or not.
It creates a common language.
MDEs force a common language for educational placement and for the continuity of services. It's vital. Without the MDEs, MSIX would just be a bucket of unorganized text. With them, it's a structured database that can actually drive decisions.
Okay, so let's imagine I'm a user, I'm a counselor or a recruiter. I've logged in with my secure Login.gov account. I'm looking for a kid. How do I find them?
You start with a search functionality. And the documents are very specific about how this works. You have a basic search. First name, last name, date of birth, ID type.
Pretty standard. Seems easy enough.
It seems easy, but here's where it gets tricky. Common errors often involve incorrect birth dates or typos. If a name was entered as John without an H in one state, and you search for John with an H,
You might miss them completely.
you might miss them. Or maybe the birth month and day were swapped in the data entry. It happens all the time.
So what do you do? If the basic search fails, are you stuck?
Note, you go to the advanced search. This allows for much more granularity. You can search by parents' names, for instance, which is often a more stable data point than a child's name, especially with nicknames.
That makes a lot of sense. The kid's nickname might change, but the mom's name is usually consistent on the forms.
Exactly. You can also search by containing logic, so partial matches.
So if I search Rodrig, it will find Rodriguez.
Precisely. You can also search by specific district of residence, facility names, or even a multiple birth indicator.
A multiple birth indicator. For twins?
For twins or triplets, yeah. It's necessary. If you have twins named Jose and Juan with the same birthday and the same parents, you need a way to tell the system these are two different people, not a duplicate record.
That's a specific field. It shows they've really thought through the edge cases.
They have.
So once I find the student, what am I looking at? The documents describe it as a sort of dashboard.
It's the scan overview. In the tech world, we might call this the single pane of glass. It brings everything together in one place.
Walk me through it. What stands out on that page?
First, the biographical info, obviously. But deeper than that, you see the qualifying moves. You see a from location and a to location. You can literally see the timeline of their migration across the country.
And I noticed there is a section for health and status.
This is critical. It lists medical alerts and immunizations. Think about the efficiency there.
Yeah.
If a student arrives in a new state and the school nurse can see in M6 that they already had their MMR vaccine, that prevents revaccinating unnecessarily.
Which saves money, but also saves a kid from getting a shot they don't need.
Exactly. And even more importantly, it tracks English learner, or EL status, and IEP status.
IEP is the Individualized Education Program for students with special needs.
Right. And why is that immediate visibility so important?
Because legally, schools have to provide those services.
Immediately. If a child with an IEP walks in, the school needs to know that day so they can start providing the accommodations. If they have to wait 2 months for the paperwork to arrive by mail, that child has gone 2 months without their legally mandated support.
MSIX solves that latency.
Instantly.
The documents also mention nested details. It sounds like you can click into these categories to get more info.
You can drill down. If you look at enrollments, you don't just see the school name. You can see the enrollment type, the residency verification date, even the specific facility location.
And for assessments, what's in there?
It's not just the score. The nested details show the interpretation of the score and the reporting method.
Why does that matter?
Because a 3 on a test in one state might mean proficient, but in another state, it might be a low score. The context is there, so you don't misinterpret the data.
That context is everything.
And for course history, you get the real nitty-gritty. Clock hours, final grades, credits, granted. This is the stuff that guidance counselors need to build a schedule that makes sense.
There's one feature called the historical view that caught my eye. It lets you see the student's journey in a specific way.
Yes, the historical view is for students with records in more than one state. It allows a user to click a specific state, say Georgia, and see just that slice of the student's journey.
So just the records from when they were in Georgia.
Exactly. What did they do when they were there? Then you can click on Ohio and see that slice. It helps you piece together the narrative of their education.
It really emphasizes how mobile these students are. It's not one record, it's a collection of chapters.
And M6 binds those chapters into a single book.
Now, looking at a record is passive. You're just reading information. But M6 has some active tools, too. The outline calls them the killer apps of the system.
I would agree with that description. The two big ones are move notices and data requests.
Let's start with move notices. This sounds like an alert system.
It is. It's designed for both intra and interstate coordination. There are 2 types, move to and move from.
Self-explanatory, but explain the utility.
A move to notice says, hey, this student is coming to your area. This is critical for recruitment.
So you can be proactive.
Exactly. Instead of waiting for a family to show up and ask for help, you can reach out, get them enrolled, get them settled, and the move from notice says, this student has left our area. That helps the losing state close out their records and maybe alert the likely destination.
I loved the real-world example in the source material for this, the recruiter on the phone.
It paints such a vivid picture. Imagine a recruiter standing in a field or a living room with a family. The family says, we're moving to Washington tomorrow.
Okay.
That recruiter can log into M6 on their phone, right there, remember it's a web app, and send a move notice immediately.
So before the family even packs the car, the system knows they're coming.
Right, and you can attach the family's contact info directly to the notice.
Yeah.
So the recruiter in Washington gets an alert. Student incoming. Here is the mom's cell phone number.
Wow, that is a game changer for speed. It turns a cold lead into a warm handoff.
It really is.
Who handles these? Does everyone in the system get pinged? Because that would get annoying fast.
That would be chaos. No, most users can initiate a notice, but the system is designed so that only data administrators can receive, reassign, or dismiss them.
So it goes to a specific role.
Yes. This prevents alert fatigue. You don't want every teacher getting a ding on their phone every time a student moves. It goes to the admins who manage the workflow.
That's smart. Okay, what about data requests? This sounds like it's for filling in the blanks.
That's exactly what it is. Let's say a student arrives mid-semester. The record is in M6, but it's missing grade to date, or clock hours.
Yeah.
Maybe they left the previous school 2 days before grades were posted, so the data hadn't been uploaded yet.
Normally, you just email the old school, right? Hey, can you send over Johnny's grades?
That's the old way, and there are a ton of problems with that. First, who do you email? Do you know the registrar in that specific district in Arkansas? Probably not.
Good point.
Second, is email secure? Not always. And third, people ignore emails. There's no accountability.
So how does M6 handle it?
You use the M6 data request link right in the system. And there are huge advantages here. First, regulation. MSIX regulations mandate a response within 4 working days.
Oh, wow. So they can't just ignore you. There's a clock on it.
There is a clock. It's a federally mandated SLA, a service level agreement.
What's the second advantage?
Routing. MSIX automatically finds the active data administrators in the other state. You don't need to Google contact info. You submit the request, and the system knows who handles data for that district in Arkansas. It routes it to the right person's inbox.
That saves so much time and guesswork.
Third, security. It keeps the PII inside the secure system. You aren't emailing sensitive grades over the open internet.
And fourth.
It builds a knowledge base.
Yeah.
If you ask a question and it gets answered, that exchange stays in the log for others to see. So if another counselor has the same question later, the answer's already there.
That's incredibly efficient.
And there is a pro tip in the documents that I love.
Let's hear it.
If you are looking for info on a preschooler or an out-of-school youth in Priestley, an OSY, someone who isn't enrolled in a specific school building.
So they wouldn't have a specific school contact.
Right. You can enter the district of residence in your request. This routes the request to district-level admins rather than a specific school. It helps catch those kids who might fall through the cracks because they aren't on a class roster yet.
That is a great detail. It really shows how the system is designed for the specific reality of migratory families. It anticipates the gaps.
It's purpose-built. Absolutely.
We've mentioned a few job titles: recruiters, data administrators. Let's just clarify who is actually in the system. Who are the players?
It's a hierarchy of responsibility, really. At the top, usually at the state level, you have user administrators. They manage the accounts. They are the ones handing out the keys to the kingdom. They determine who gets into MSIX and what they can do.
And then you have the data administrators.
These are the heavy lifters we've been talking about. They ensure the data exchange happens accurately. They're the ones answering those move notices and data requests. They are the quality control.
And then the boots on the ground.
The recruiters. Their job is identification and enrollment. They are the ones out in the community finding the families.
What about at the school level?
At the school district level, you have teachers who might send or receive academic info. You have counselors who use the data for placement and credits, and registrars who handle a lot of the admin tasks.
The documents make a point about maintenance here that seems important.
Yes, it is vital that user admins keep these roles up to date. If a data administrator quits and nobody deactivates their account or reassigns their role,
the requests go into a black hole.
Exactly. Those data requests go to a dead account. And then the 4-day response time doesn't happen and the student suffers. The tech works, but the human element breaks.
The system is only as good as the people maintaining it?
That's it.
Okay. We've talked about the data, the search, the requests, but we need to spend some time on the fortress that protects all this. We touched on Login.gov, but there is a broader topic here: cybersecurity and PII.
This is the section where the tone of the documents gets very, very serious, and for good reason. The stakes are high. MSIX contains real, sensitive student data. Unauthorized sharing is a major risk.
Let's define the terms, because we hear PII a lot.
PII stands for Personally Identifiable Information. This is any info that can distinguish an individual, a name, a parent's name, but it's also combinations.
Like what?
Like sex plus date of birth plus grade level. If you have those 3 things, you can often identify a specific child in a small rural community.
Right. And what is SPII?
That's sensitive PII. The definition here is specific. If this information is released, it could cause harm, embarrassment, inconvenience, or unfairness to an individual.
Embarrassment or unfairness, that's a high bar.
It is. Think about things like disciplinary records or economic status. And then there is PHI-protected health information, diagnoses, treatment, immunization records.
The documents mention a very specific way the breaches happen. And surprisingly, it's not what you'd think. It's not hackers.
No. It's not usually some hacker in a hoodie breaking the code. The most frequent occurrence of PII breaches mentioned is unencrypted emails to the MSIX help desk.
So people trying to get help and just oversharing.
Exactly. A user has a problem. I can't find this student record. So they email support and they paste the student's full name, DOB, and maybe their mother's name right in the body of the email.
And that's a breach.
That is a breach.
Right.
You just sent PII over an unsecured channel.
So what's the protocol? What are users supposed to do?
The documents call it the stop and think protocol. Before you share anything, you ask, does this person have a need to know? You check your recipients carefully, and you never, ever download PII to personal equipment.
No saving spreadsheets to your personal laptop?
Never. And no unauthorized clouds. No Dropbox, no wikis. If it's not a government-approved system, the data doesn't go there. and absolutely never access MSIX from public kiosks, like in a hotel business center or an airport.
That makes sense. You don't know who is logging keystrokes on those machines.
You have no idea.
There is also a section on work-from-home best practices, which feels very relevant given how many people work remotely now.
It is. The rules are strict. First, physical security. Lock your computer when you step away, even at home. If you have kids or roommates, it's a must.
Right.
And lock any printed materials in drawers.
And if you have sensitive hard copies, you can't just throw them in the trash can.
No, you need a shredder. And specifically, the documents specify a cross-cut shredder.
Why a cross-cut? What's the difference?
Because the old strip shredders are surprisingly easy to puzzle back together if someone is determined enough.
Right.
Cross-cut turns paper into confetti. It's much more secure.
What about network security at home?
Big one. Change your factory Wi-Fi passwords. Don't use the password that's printed on the sticker on the bottom of the router.
Okay.
And do not use WEP wired equivalent privacy. It's an older security standard, and the documents explicitly say it is easily hacked.
So use WPA2 or WPA3?
Right. And they suggest creating a guest network on your router, specifically for your work laptop.
Oh, to isolate the work device from your smart fridge and your kid's gaming console.
Exactly. It minimizes the attack surface.
Yeah.
If your smart toaster gets hacked for some reason, you don't want it to have a network path to the MSIX database.
It's intense, but when you think about the data, medical records, grades, locations of vulnerable families, it feels absolutely necessary.
It is the fortress concept. You build the walls high because the treasure inside, the student's future, is incredibly valuable.
So let's unpack this. We've covered the tech, the data, the security. What does this all mean when you put it together?
At the end of the day, MSIX acts as a digital thread. These students have fractured educational journeys. They move from place to place, and every single move is a risk of lost credits, lost time, lost support.
Right.
MSIX turns those 76 data points into a safety net.
It connects the dots.
It does. And while the tech is impressive, I mean, the MFA, the move notices, the APIs, it's all very cool stuff. The ultimate result is human. It's a child getting their diploma because their algebra credits didn't get lost in the move from Texas to Michigan.
It's a recruiter finding a family because a notification popped up on their phone.
It makes the invisible visible.
That is a great way to put it. It validates the student's effort no matter where that effort happened.
That's right.
Here's a final thought I want to leave our listeners with. We live in an age where data privacy is a massive concern. We are constantly worried about who is tracking us. But in this case, cracking is the benefit.
That is the tension, isn't it?
It is. So I want to ask you, the listener, how do we balance the absolute necessity of tracking these students for their own benefit against the risks of maintaining such a detailed federal database on vulnerable families? It's a very delicate line to walk, but MSIX seems to be trying to walk it with very heavy boots on the security side.
It raises an important question about the role of government data. Is it Big Brother, or is it a guardian angel? In this case, it's really trying hard to be the latter.
Fascinating stuff. We hope this deep dive gave you a new appreciation for the infrastructure that runs behind the education system.
There's always more beneath the surface.
Thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.
Goodbye, everyone.